Al-Qaeda is a global militant Sunni Islamist organization founded by Osama bin Laden, Abdullah Azzam, and several others, at some point between August 1988 and late 1989, with origins traceable to the Arab volunteers who fought against the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in the 1980s. It operates as a network comprising both a multinational, stateless army and an Islamist, extremist, Wahhabi jihadist group. It has been designated as a terrorist group by the United Nations Security Council, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the European Union, the United States, Russia, India, and various other countries. Al-Qaeda has carried out many attacks on targets it considers kafir. Al-Qaeda has mounted attacks on civilian and military targets in various countries, including the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombings, the September 11 attacks, and the 2002 Bali bombings. The U.S. government responded to the September 11 attacks by launching the War on Terror, with the loss of key leaders, culminating in the death of Osama bin Laden. Al-Qaeda's operations have devolved from actions that were controlled from the top down, to actions by franchise-associated groups and lone wolf operators. Characteristic techniques employed by Al-Qaeda include suicide attacks and the simultaneous bombing of different targets. Activities ascribed to it may involve members of the movement who have made a pledge of loyalty to Osama bin Laden, or the much more numerous, Al-Qaeda-linked, individuals who have undergone training in one of its camps in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq or Sudan who have not. Al-Qaeda ideologues envision a complete break from all foreign influences in Muslim countries, and the creation of a new caliphate ruling over the entire Muslim world. During the Syrian civil war, Al-Qaeda factions started fighting each other, as well as the Kurds and the Syrian government. Among the beliefs ascribed to Al-Qaeda members is the conviction that a Christian-Jewish alliance is conspiring to destroy Islam. As Salafist jihadists, they believe that the killing of non-combatants is religiously sanctioned, but they ignore any aspect of religious scripture which might be interpreted as forbidding the murder of non-combatants and internecine fighting. Al-Qaeda also opposes what it regards as man-made laws, and wants to replace them with a strict form of Sharia law. Al-Qaeda is also responsible for instigating sectarian violence among Muslims. Al-Qaeda leaders regard liberal Muslims, Shias, Sufis and other sects as heretics and have attacked their mosques and gatherings. Examples of sectarian attacks include the Yazidi community bombings, the Sadr city bombings, the Ashawara massacre and the April 2007 Baghdad bombings. Since the death of Osama bin Laden in 2011, the group has been led by Egyptian Ayman al-Zawahiri organization. Al-Qaeda's management philosophy has been described as centralization of decision and decentralization of execution. It is thought that Al-Qaeda's leadership, following the War on Terror, has become geographically isolated, leading to the emergence of decentralized leadership of regional groups using the Al-Qaeda brand. Many terrorism experts do not believe that the global jihadist movement is driven at every level by Al-Qaeda's leadership, although bin Laden still held considerable ideological sway over some Muslim extremists before his death. Experts argue that Al-Qaeda has fragmented over the years into a variety of regional movements that have little connection with one another. Mark Sageman, a psychiatrist and former Central Intelligence Agency officer, said that Al-Qaeda is now just a loose label for a movement that seems to target the West. There is no umbrella organization. We like to create a mythical entity called Al-Qaeda in our minds. But that is not the reality we are dealing with. This view mirrors the account given by Osama bin Laden in his October 2001 interview with Taseer Alani. This matter isn't about any specific person. It's not about the al-Qaeda organization. We are the children of an Islamic nation, with Prophet Muhammad as its leader. Our Lord is one, and all the true believers, mu'mineen, are brothers. So the situation isn't like the West portrays it, that there is an organization with a specific name and so on. That particular name is very old. It was born without any intention from us. Brother Abu Ubaidah created a military base to train the young men to fight against the vicious, arrogant, brutal, terrorizing Soviet Empire. So this place was called the base, al-Qaeda, as in a training base, so this name grew, and became. We aren't separated from this nation. We are the children of a nation, and we are an inseparable part of it, and from those public asterisk which spread from the Far East. From the Philippines, to Indonesia, to Malaysia, to India, to Pakistan, reaching Mauritania. And so we discuss the conscience of this nation. Others, however, see al-Qaeda as an integrated network that is strongly led from the Pakistani tribal areas and has a powerful strategic purpose. Bruce Hoffman, a terrorism expert at Georgetown University, said, "It amazes me that people don't think there is a clear adversary out there, and that our adversary does not have a strategic approach." Al-Qaeda has the following direct affiliates: Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, Al-Qaeda in Somalia, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, Al-Qaeda in Syria, Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent, Al-Qaeda Kurdish battalions, al-Murabitan, Al-Qaeda in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Al-Qaeda's indirect affiliates includes the following, many of which have left the organization and joined the Islamic State of Iraq in the Levant: Abdullah Azam Brigades, Al-Malathameen Brigade, Ansar Dine, Abu Sayyaf, Ansar al-Islam, East Turkestan Islamic Movement, Caucasus Emirate, Fatah al-Islam, Islamic Jihad Union, Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Jama'at Islamiyah, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Movement for Oneness and Jihad in West Africa, Moroccan Islamic Combatant Group, Raja Suleiman Movement. Leadership information mostly acquired from Jamal al-Fadl provided American authorities with a rough picture of how the group was organized, while the veracity of the information provided by al-Fadl and the motivation for his cooperation are both disputed. American authorities base much of their current knowledge of al-Qaeda on his testimony. Osama bin Laden was the most historically notable emir, or commander, and senior operations chief of al-Qaeda prior to his assassination on May 1, 2011 by U.S. forces. Ayman al-Zawahiri, al-Qaeda's deputy operations chief prior to bin Laden's death, assumed the role of commander. According to an announcement by al-Qaeda on June 16, 2011, he replaced Saif al-Adil, who had served as interim commander. Bin Laden was advised by a Shura Council, which consists of senior al-Qaeda members, estimated by Western officials to consist of 20 to 30 people. Atiyah Abdul-Rahman was alleged to be second in command prior to his death on August 22, 2011. On June 5, 2012, Pakistan intelligence officials announced that al-Rahman's alleged successor Abu Yahya al-Libi had been killed in Pakistan. Nazir al-Wuharishi was said to have become second in command in 2013. He was the leader of al-Qaeda in Yemen until killed in a U.S. airstrike in June 2015. Al-Qaeda's network was built from scratch as a conspiratorial network that draws on leaders of all its regional nodes, as and when necessary to serve as an integral part of its high command. The military committee is responsible for training operatives, acquiring weapons, and planning attacks. The Money Business Committee funds the recruitment and training of operatives through the Hawala banking system. U.S.-led efforts to eradicate the sources of terrorist financing were most successful in the year immediately following the September 11 attacks. Al-Qaeda continues to operate through unregulated banks, such as the 1,000 or so hawaladars in Pakistan, some of which can handle deals of up to $10 million. It also provides air tickets and false passports, pays Al-Qaeda members, and oversees profit-driven businesses. In the 9/11 Commission report, it was estimated that Al-Qaeda required $30 million per year to conduct its operations. The Law Committee reviews Sharia law, and decides whether particular courses of action conform to it. The Islamic Study Fatwa Committee issues religious edicts, such as an edict in 1998 telling Muslims to kill Americans. In the late 1990s, there was a publicly known media committee, which ran the now-defunct newspaper Nashrat al-Akhbar and handled public relations. In 2005, Al-Qaeda formed as Sahib, a media production house, to supply its video and audio materials. Command structure. When asked about the possibility of Al-Qaeda's connection to the July 7, 2005 London bombings in 2005, Metropolitan Police Commissioner Sir Ian Blair said, "Al-Qaeda is not an organization. Al-Qaeda is a way of working. But this has the hallmark of that approach. Al-Qaeda clearly has the ability to provide training, to provide expertise. And I think that is what has occurred here." On August 13, 2005, however, the independent newspaper, quoting police and MI5 investigations, reported that the July 7 bombers had acted independently of an Al-Qaeda terror mastermind someplace abroad. What exactly Al-Qaeda is, or was, remains in dispute. Certainly, it has been obliged to evolve and adapt in the aftermath of 9/11 and the launch of the War on Terror. Nasser al-Bara, who was Osama bin Laden's bodyguard for 4 years in the run-up to 9/11, gives a highly detailed description of how the group functioned at that time. In his memoir, he describes its formal administrative structure and vast arsenal, as well as day-to-day life as a member. However, author and journalist Adam Curtis argues that the idea of Al-Qaeda as a formal organization is primarily an American invention. Curtis contends the name Al-Qaeda was first brought to the attention of the public in the 2001 trial of bin Laden and the 4 men accused of the 1998 U.S. Embassy bombings in East Africa. The reality was that bin Laden and Ayman al-Zawahiri had become the focus of a loose association of disillusioned Islamist militants who were attracted by the new strategy. But there was no organization. These were militants who mostly planned their own operations and looked to bin Laden for funding and assistance. He was not their commander. There is also no evidence that bin Laden used the term Al-Qaeda to refer to the name of a group until after September 11 attacks, when he realized that this was the term the Americans had given it. As a matter of law, the U.S. Department of Justice needed to show that bin Laden was the leader of a criminal organization in order to charge him in absentia under the Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, also known as the RICO statutes. The name of the organization and details of its structure were provided in the testimony of Jamal al-Fadl, who said he was a founding member of the group and a former employee of bin Laden. Questions about the reliability of al-Fadl's testimony have been raised by a number of sources because of his history of dishonesty, and because he was delivering it as part of a plea bargain agreement after being convicted of conspiring to attack U.S. military establishments. Sam Schmidt, one of his defense lawyers, said, "There were selective portions of al-Fadl's testimony that I believe was false, to help support the picture that he helped the Americans join together. I think he lied in a number of specific testimony about a unified image of what this organization was. It made Al-Qaeda the new mafia or the new communists. It made them identifiable as a group and therefore made it easier to prosecute any person associated with Al-Qaeda for any acts or statements made by bin Laden. Field operatives, the number of individuals in the group who have undergone proper military training, and are capable of commanding insurgent forces. is largely unknown. Documents captured in the raid on bin Laden compound in 2011 show that the core al-Qaeda membership in 2002 was 170. In 2006, it was estimated that al-Qaeda had several thousand commanders embedded in 40 different countries. As of 2009 update, it was believed that no more than 200 to 300 members were still active commanders. According to the award-winning 2004 BBC documentary The Power of Nightmares, al-Qaeda was so weakly linked together that it was hard to say it existed apart from bin Laden and a small clique of close associates. The lack of any significant numbers of convicted al-Qaeda members, despite a large number of arrests on terrorism charges, was cited by the documentary as a reason to doubt whether a widespread entity that met the description of al-Qaeda existed. Insurgent forces. According to Robert Cassidy, al-Qaeda controls two separate forces deployed alongside insurgents in Iraq and Pakistan. The first, numbering in the tens of thousands, was organized, trained, and equipped as insurgent combat forces in the Soviet-Afghan War. It was made up primarily of foreign mujahideen from Saudi Arabia and Yemen. Many went on to fight in Bosnia and Somalia for global jihad. Another group, approximately 10,000 strong, live in western states and have received rudimentary combat training. Other analysts have described al-Qaeda's rank and file as being predominantly Arab in its first years of operation, and now also includes other peoples. As of 2007 update, it has been estimated that 62% of al-Qaeda members have university education. Some financing for al-Qaeda in the 1990s came from the personal wealth of Osama bin Laden. By 2001, Afghanistan had become politically complex and mired, with many financial sources for al-Qaeda. Bin Laden's financing role may have become comparatively minor. Sources in 2001 could also have included Jama'a al-Islamiyya and Islamic Jihad, both associated with Afghan-based Egyptians. Other sources of income in 2001 included the heroin trade and donations from supporters in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia and other Islamic countries. A WikiLeaks released memo from the United States Secretary of State sent in 2009 asserted that the primary source of funding of Sunni terrorist groups worldwide was Saudi Arabia. Strategy. On March 11, 2005, Al-Quds Al-Arabi published extracts from Saif al-Adl's document, Al-Qaeda's Strategy to the Year 2020. Abdul Bari Atwan summarizes this strategy as comprising 5 stages to rid the Ummah from all forms of oppression, provoke the United States and the West into invading a Muslim country by staging a massive attack or string of attacks on U.S. soil that results in massive civilian casualties, incite local resistance to occupying forces, expand the conflict to neighboring countries, and engage the U.S. and its allies in a long war of attrition. Convert al-Qaeda into an ideology and set of operating principles that can be loosely franchised in other countries without requiring direct command and control, and via these franchises incite attacks against the U.S. and countries allied with the U.S. until they withdraw from the conflict, as happened with the 2004 Madrid train bombings, but which did not have the same effect with the July 7, 2005 London bombings. The U.S. economy will finally collapse by the year 2020, under the strain of multiple engagements in numerous places, making the worldwide economic system, which is dependent on the U.S., also collapse, leading to global political instability, which in turn leads to a global jihad led by al-Qaeda, and a Wahhabi caliphate will then be installed across the world. Following the collapse of the U.S. and the rest of the Western world countries, Atwan also noted, regarding the collapse of the U.S., if this sounds far-fetched, It is sobering to consider that this virtually describes the downfall of the Soviet Union, according to Fouad Hussein, a Jordanian journalist and author who has spent time in prison with al-Zarqawi. Al-Qaeda's strategy plan consists of 7 phases and is similar to the plan described in al-Qaeda's strategy to the year 2020. The Awakening. This phase was supposed to last from 2001 to 2003. The goal of the phase is to provoke the United States to attack a Muslim country by executing an attack on U.S. soil that kills many civilians. Opening eyes. This phase was supposed to last from 2003 to 2006. The goal of this phase was to recruit young men to the cause and to transform the al-Qaeda group into a movement. Iraq was supposed to become the center of all operations with financial and military support for bases in other states. A Rising and Standing Up was supposed to last from 2007 to 2010. In this phase, al-Qaeda wanted to execute additional attacks and focus their attention on Syria. Hussein believed that other countries in the Arabian Peninsula were also in danger. In the 4th phase, al-Qaeda expected a steady growth among their ranks and territories due to the declining power of the regimes in the Arabian Peninsula. The 5th phase is the declaration of an Islamic Caliphate, which was projected between 2013 and 2016. In this phase, al-Qaeda expected the resistance from Israel to be heavily reduced. The 6th phase is described as the declaration of an Islamic army and a fight between believers and non-believers, also called total confrontation. Definitive victory. The 7th and last phase is projected to be completed by 2020. The world will be beaten down by the Islamic army. According to the 7-phase strategy, the war isn't projected to last longer than 2 years.